to the Meteor Instructional Best Practices webinar series. Meteor Education is a leading educational services partner working with education providers to help them create high-impact learning experiences. As one of the largest providers of learning spaces, including furnishings and interior design services, Meteor's focus is the integration of best practices for teaching and learning to drive inquiry-based instruction, effective use of modern classrooms, and increase student achievement. Today, we are going to explore vocabulary investigation. Did you know that vocabulary is the best single indicator of intellectual ability and an accurate predictor of success at school? Because each new word has to be studied and learned on its own, the larger a student's vocabulary becomes, the easier it will be to connect a new word with words they already know and thus remembering its meaning. So a child's learning speed or pace should increase as their vocabulary grows. When students participate in rigorous tasks with others, they are given opportunities to speak as well as hear vocabulary words that they may not have had previous exposure to. At Meteor, we believe that a focus on creating student tasks that include authentic inquiry, inclusiveness, respectful collaboration, rigor, and student ownership increases the opportunities for students to develop larger vocabularies. Students should have these experiences in all content areas and grade levels. These types of learning experiences are also aligned to the research from John Hattie's Visible Learning. John Hattie's research resulted in specific indicators for success. And specifically, when we take a look at the top 10 indicators, we can see a natural connection with vocabulary, and when we talk about teacher expectations of students, student self-confidence, depth of conceptual knowledge, and academic discussions. So let's spend some time discussing what the teacher action would be, what the teacher does to help students increase their vocabulary knowledge, and what the student action would be, what the student does to find success. Copying definitions from the dictionary, we would probably all agree, is not an effective way to teach or learn vocabulary. Passive learning hardly ever is. However, it is often the way we learned, and as teachers, we sometimes fall back on using these ways when teaching, rather than taking a good look at student data, the latest research, and then trying something new. Research shows that teachers that focus on vocabulary as part of a unit of study and not something off to the side find that students are far more successful in their understanding of concepts being taught. In order to become a reflective planner of vocabulary, we suggest considering the 5 components listed on this slide as you develop your units of study. Let's take a deeper look at each component. The first component to consider when planning vocabulary instruction is to choose which words you want to focus on during your unit of study and ensure that students know this is the vocabulary they are responsible for learning. When choosing vocabulary, you do need to consider which words need the most instructional attention. There are 3 tiers of words to choose from. Tier 1 are those basic words that rarely require instructional focus, like door, house, or book. Tier 2, general academic words, are words that appear with high frequency across a variety of domains, and they are crucial when using mature academic language and can be critical for writing. It's words like coincidence, reluctant, analysis. And Tier 3 words are those domain-specific words. These are the words of the disciplines, such as words found mostly in math or science or other areas. Frequency of these words is quite low and often limited to those specific fields of study. Examples might include alliteration in language arts, axioms in math, class struggle in social studies, and atoms in science. Students will benefit the most academically by focusing instruction on the Tier 2 words, since these appear with much higher frequency than Tier 3 words and are used across domains. So this is when you take a look at the text for your unit and choose words that you deem to be the Tier 2 words. Go ahead and select some content-specific words, Tier 3 words as well, but only those that are directly related to the chapter, article, short story, or whatever you are about to read. A balance between Tier 2 and Tier 3 words is needed. Keep in mind for this first component that when choosing which words deserve special instructional time, you don't have to do it alone. One of the biggest mistakes we teachers make in vocabulary instruction is selecting all the words for the students and not giving them a say in the matter. Simply asking students to skim the text and selecting words to independently learn provides not only a great formative assessment for you, but it allows students to take ownership of their learning. And as you may recall, this is a key learning principle at Meteor. The second component for vocabulary instruction is to be deliberate in emphasizing the chosen vocabulary words within various materials, such as through reading a text, showing a video, or even sharing a story to hook the learner. For example, if a teacher wanted students to deeply learn the definition of the word unique or meticulous, he or she might use the word in a story and then question students if they have an idea of what the word means based on the context given. Students need multiple and various exposures to words before they fully understand that word and can apply it. They need also to learn words in context, not standalone lists that come and go each week. Of course, the way we learn words in context or implicitly is by reading, then reading some more. The third component is to use the vocabulary. Teachers need to be deliberate when providing direct instruction that they use the unit's focus words. Students need to have opportunities to use the words as well, such as during academic discussions. The more a student hears the word, even has opportunities to use the word in writing or to even draw a picture of the word, the depth of understanding for that word increases. The fourth component for vocabulary instruction is requiring students to use the focus words during a synthesis task. A synthesis task is a task at a depth of knowledge level of the 3 or 4. Teachers want to provide opportunities for students to use the words when writing or speaking. Academic discussions and/or writing should be part of the unit of study, and students should be provided opportunities to use the words in context. Productive learning happens when a student is using words correctly through speech and in writing. After all, remember, the goal for having direct vocabulary instruction is for students to have a rich vocabulary palette. This rich vocabulary palette allows students to write better arguments or opinions and to participate in deeper conversations. Think about the Gettysburg Address. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. What if Abraham Lincoln had used the verb start instead of conceive? 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation started in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. That first sentence is not as image specific and descriptive when using the word start. Word choice in choosing the best word for writing or speaking allows the reader a deeper insight into the text. This is why we want students to have a rich palette of words to choose from. The last component for vocabulary instruction is to provide opportunities for students to learn not only the meanings of words, but various nuances of words, the synonyms, the antonyms, the prefixes, the suffixes. Research shows that there are more words to be learned than can be directly taught in even the most ambitious program of vocabulary instruction. Explicit instruction in word learning strategies gives students tools for independently determining the meanings of unfamiliar words that have not been explicitly introduced in class. Since students encounter so many unfamiliar words in their reading, any help provided by such strategies can be useful. So in conclusion, we should not wait to teach children words, since vocabulary is the best single indicator of intellectual ability and an accurate predictor of success at school. Teachers need to be deliberate when planning vocabulary instruction in all grade levels and in all content areas. Studies have found that when teachers become intentional in their vocabulary instruction, they become excited about word learning and regularly identify, instruct, and have conversations around words with their students. The 5 components listed is a good starting place when setting up structures for vocabulary instruction. There is no surefire remedy or method to enhance vocabulary in a day or two. A student's vocabulary bank can be enriched on a gradual basis, and one should always show keen interest and enthusiasm in finding, learning, and understanding new words. Here are some questions for you or your team to discuss based on this short webinar. How is vocabulary instruction defined and implemented in your class or on your school campus? Where are the gaps in the vocabulary instruction in your class or on your school campus? If there aren't any gaps, what are areas you can capitalize on? What is one or two deliberate practices you can put immediately into place for teaching vocabulary? As you deepen your understanding of vocabulary instruction, you can find additional resources on this topic in the resource folder. This webinar series is brought to you by Meteor Education and the Center for College and Career Readiness. For more information about how Meteor Education can help you develop high-impact learning experiences, go to meteoreducation.com.